Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We have a special guest joining us this morning. We have Monique Idlet Mosley. Did I say it right?
Idlet Mosley.
Idlet Mosley. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm excited. Tomorrow's my birthday, so this is like the perfect way to get that started.
The turn up.
You'll
Nice.
finally be old enough to drink. Congratulations.
I know. It's called reversing backwards. I'm 21 today, tomorrow.
There you go.
Absolutely.
So you're the founder and CEO of Rain Ventures. So what is Rain Ventures?
Oh, Rain Ventures is a seed stage fund. And we're a firm where it's two general partners, myself and my business partner, Erica. We invest in Black and Brown and women in technology space. We're usually the first check-in when they're doing their first $1 to $3 million raised.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this. A lot of people have questions about getting investors and how do you actually get somebody to invest in your company? So what are some tips you would give an entrepreneur out there that has an idea, has a company, and then they're trying to get some funding for it when it comes to putting together a presentation?
You know, I would tell founders, and I do tell founders, that one of the most important things is knowing your audience, right? So if you're going to get investment, you need to actually speak to people who invest in what the types of things that you're building, because it's a very vulnerable stage for a founder. It's really hard to raise money. So you need to talk to people. If you're building a company that's on consumer tech, then talk to the investors that invest inside of consumer tech. If you're building a restaurant, you need to talk to people who invest in brick and mortar restaurants. That kind of alleviates the stress of hearing the word no so much, because you're going to hear no a lot. Mm-hmm. And I would also tell them to start with their family and friends. That's the best way to start getting something, and then turn to angel investors, which is angel is a step before what I do, which is venture capital.
And so what about giving up equity? When do you give up equity?
So it's case by case, right? Every business model is different. There's some businesses that are a cash business eventually, and you don't need to give up equity. Maybe it's a business loan. Maybe it's a small business loan. Maybe it's a small business grant. I tell people before you raise money, you need to understand that that is a permanent partnership until you either exit, until you get merged, or you go public. You literally are in forever partnership. So you need to take strategic dollars.
Wow. And you're going to be on Undercover Billionaire, right?
I filmed it already. It just started airing on Tuesday on Discovery after Deadliest Catch. Oh. The hardest 90 days of my life.
Now, what is that about? What is that show about? I've never watched it.
Well, the show is about taking someone successful, the guy who created Glenn Stearns. He's a self-made billionaire. And he wanted to take this concept of, can you start with nothing and create something worth $1 million? They say it's the American dream. I say the American dream wasn't for everyone and still isn't for everyone.
That's right.
So my perspective was a little different. I was the first person who was Black on the show and also a woman. And so they dropped me in Tacoma, Washington. I did not know where I was going. I've never been to Tacoma. They gave me $100. They took all my credit cards, my phone, my access to my world, gave me a fake name and a used car. And I had 90 days to turn that $100 into $1 million business.
Wow.
Now let's talk about where you started when you got dropped off,
gracious.
Right? Because that is important. Where do you start to find your network and also figure out how you can make that money? So give us some information about what you did first.
So my first, not even 20 minutes into being dropped in Tacoma, I went straight to the church. And literally, the pastor set up the rest of my journey. That one decision to go to the church and ask for help literally helped make the rest of the journey accessible.
Yeah, you needed housing, right? And they provided that for you.
So you didn't have housing?
Yeah, they're like, Monique, you're going to have to sleep in your car. You have $100. And I was like, no, that's not going to happen. No, I'm not judging anyone who has to do that. But as a Black woman, I'm not going to tell other women to go to their car first. Actually, as a community, we need to tell each other what we need. We need to help each other. We need to collaborate together. So I wanted to intentionally show a journey of using my voice and using the community.
So wait
That's
a minute.
brilliant. I wouldn't have thought about going to the church first like that. So that was brilliant to me.
Let me tell you, Angela, when I got dropped there, production is like, all right, so what are you doing? And it hits you like you kind of know what you're about to get into, but you really, really don't. Because when you're there and you like have $100 bill in the middle of a pandemic, when everything is shut down and people aren't even taking cash if the business is open, it got really real very quick.
Did you ever think about tapping out, saying, nah, enough of this, I'm going back home?
Yeah, every day. Yeah, to be completely honest, it was really difficult. It was a pandemic. I'd never been to Tacoma, so I wasn't even familiar with the city infrastructure. And, to build something from scratch and not be able to take the relationship networking that I actually built my career on, that was really hard. Tawana Nobles, who is now the senator, she actually provided me shelter for a couple of weeks, which was unbelievable. I never knew her, never met her. And she was literally in the middle of running a campaign, and she opened her door for me.
That's so dope.
That $100 had to be your food and your investment to get started?
Yes, I didn't even eat the first 24 hours. And when I did eat, the first thing I ate was a baked potato.
Wow. Well, what made you want to get on the show, get involved in the show?
I got on the show for many reasons. The first is we need a new rock star, right? Our culture needs to understand that it's amazing if you make it in entertainment or as an athlete, but we are everything. And I wanted our people and our culture to identify with the business rock star, and actually also vulnerability of not being afraid to try something new and believe in yourself and bet on yourself. And then the other reason was when you look at the demographics of Discovery Channel, they needed to have some education on who we are as a culture. That we are not these news stories. We are not these monsters and animals that apparently, they keep murdering us based on we're not human and equal. And so I needed to educate the Discovery Network, which is 500 million households. So I saw that as a great opportunity to show that we're more alike than we are in difference.
All right, so now you're at the church, right? You have the housing. What's the next thing you do to find out how can I get to some type of network in this place where I don't know anyone?
Well, you got to get a job, right? You have to get a job?
Well, I'm going to tell you what I did. What I did was when the first and second episode has already aired on TV. So when the church actually helped me for 3 days at the hotel, I actually stayed there and I asked the church if I could volunteer for them. They took a huge stress off of me for 3 days, and I needed to give back to the people who were actually supporting me. And he told me that has never happened before. And so that was a teachable lesson for all of us, that when people help you, you need to ask how you can serve them as well. Mm-hmm. And so when I was helping them, I saw this list. I was folding up letters from the Urban League, and I kept seeing this name Tawana Nobles on there. And so I asked them, who is she? And he said, that's someone you need to know. So immediately I made sure I was connected to the Black leaders in the city.
Wow. How do you stay one step ahead of trends?
I think we all have different skill sets. And I think mine has always been innovation and more of the bigger vision. 10 years ago is when I actually started investing in technology. 9 years ago is when I created the thesis for our fund. And it literally took 9 years to build it out to actually make it a verified venture capital firm. And so I think that I keep young people around me first and foremost. And I always like to study markets to see where the disruption can actually happen so I can get ahead of it.
Are there any companies that
Monique,
you invested in that we would know that are doing pretty well that we would know?
Solo Funds is a peer-to-peer lending marketplace, one of the fastest growing fintech companies. Dormify, Bespoke. I mean, it goes on and on and on. You can go to rainvc.com and see some of the portfolio companies.
Monique, I always look at you as a person who prior to all this has been very private about your personal life. How hard has it been for you to move into that spotlight?
Angela, it's been actually really difficult. In fact, it's the reason I said no to the show at first. When Tim and I were married, we got a lot of TV, offers, and we always turned those down just because, that's work. But when it comes to our personal sanity and our children and our family, I wasn't okay with actually being vulnerable to that. But for this particular thing, I felt like it's a true docuseries. There's some teachable business moments, but more importantly, I feel like I could learn a lot about myself.
What did you learn?
First, I learned that I've never lived by myself before. And, I was a mom at 18. So I've always been responsible for someone. And it was the first time at 46 years old, I'm living in a house by myself. And I was scared for like the first 3 days. And then what I realized is how important it was to actually spend time by yourself.
Now,
I learned that I'm an overachiever.
We could have told you that.
Huh?
We could have told you that.
I learned that the things that I do actually practice and preach to our founders and to anyone I've mentored, I actually saw them play out live while I was actually in this challenge. So it kind of felt good to know that when you move with integrity and you move with love, that these things can actually happen.
It is so important, I think, for other young Black women to see somebody like you in the space that you're in, because it's motivational, it's inspirational. I know for myself, as I've been like trying to pitch to different investors, I don't see a lot of Black women that we're pitching to, unfortunately. And so I think that
0.01% of funding is by Black and brown people. That's a real number in 2021.
Have you ever come across people who have told you how much you've inspired them just face to face in person?
Yes, I do. I always take time to talk to people. I always see myself in young people. And, I grew up in the projects, and to think that we kind of get classified based on our zip codes. And when one of us makes it, it's our responsibility to make sure as many people as possible get the information. I personally believe the difference is the access to the information. So I make myself available all the time. I answer every DM. I give out my cell phone. I do, if it's a company that it's not ready for our fund, my business partner and I, we still help them. We support them, put them in the right direction. I think that we have a huge responsibility of looking outside of ourselves in our own personal success. I'm never going to be satisfied with just my family doing okay.
And there's a lot of companies right now that are actually trying to invest, right, in Black and brown communities during the pandemic, and also seeing everything that's been happening with Black Lives Matter. And I want to ask you, how do people take advantage of that? And is there a time when you're like, that money's not good money?
Well, I always think you have to ask yourself, what type of money are you taking? There's never a situation where all money is good money. I think it's about being more strategic. When we invest in founders, we actually make sure that we align them with people who have expertise in the business that they're actually building. So I think taking strategic dollars from people who have expertise in the business model, I think that people need to go and try their resources locally first. The state grants, the federal grants, the small business, start with trying to keep your equity. When that can't happen, take the money from the people who support you and do it as a note, a safe note, which is kind of basically like a loan before you have equity. And then when you do get equity and you're doing, investments from VCs, make sure they're the right VCs who are going to be in your boardroom representing the company, not their own interests.
Absolutely. What made you want to be on the board of Ontale Freedom?
Oh, my goodness. Those are I love those four.
Tamika
I've
Mallory.
always been an advocate for all things equity and equality.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up, marching, being an NAACP member. And Ontale Freedom is exactly what our culture needs. It's what the world needs. And it hurts my heart when I see all of these conversations happening, these accusations. As their board chair, they don't get a salary unless we approve the salary. And it hurts my feelings that our culture doesn't understand business and the not-for-profit model.
Word.
Not-for-profit means exactly that. It's just not a profit being made, but it is absolutely a business. And how are we having issues with our people creating this, yet we support all the other national nonprofits that, by the way, sometimes are bringing in billions of dollars. Mm-hmm. How do we expect Tamika and my son and Linda and Angelo to survive and continue to do this work if they actually don't have a salary?
That's right.
So I think that we need to stop apologizing for us having careers. We need them to make money. We need all of our culture to make money and to be in a position where we can provide more for our culture and our communities.
Man, the work they do is so stressful. I can't even imagine if they didn't have a place that was comfortable to lay their head at night when they are able to be at home.
Yes, and let me tell you something. That is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week job that they have taken.
That's right.
This is the never ending. You spend an hour with Tamika, it's an hour of her taking phone calls from families who are dealing with issues, dealing with gun violence, dealing with political issues. So I don't want them to apologize for it. And if anyone has any questions, they can direct them all to us at the board.
Question, what are your thoughts on
Because we're here for it.
I don't remember the lady's name, but one of the Black Lives Matter.
Patrice Cullors.
Yes. The owner, and people are getting on her because they found out that she has a couple of homes and a couple of houses, and people are upset about that. What are your thoughts on that since you're on the board of another organization? I'm just curious.
I don't know her and I can't speak to what's going on with them, but what I will say across the board is, why does our culture get so comfortable with poverty, with the poverty mindset? We should not have to explain that we should buy land. This is amazing. Thank God she has land that she can pass on. We have to shift our mindset, right? Not-for-profits doesn't mean that you don't have a salary. And it also doesn't mean you're limited to that mission outside of when you're working within that mission. That's amazing. But you also can make money based on your own career expertise and what you're good at. Tamika is a master marketer. She should absolutely be out here partnering, making some salaries and some income. What do we want to see her broke in 10 years? I don't.
Nope.
I need her to thrive, and I need everyone to thrive.
And we need her book. And we need her book to sell.
State of emergency, yes.
And every conversation I have with Tamika, we always talk about like investing and the stock market and real estate. And so those are things you have to think of. Like, she has a son. You want to make sure that you're passing down for the next generation. So I would hate to see her not have and people have, like you said, nonprofits and for-profits.
And not speaking about Tamika, speaking about the Black Lives Matter movement. The only reason I think they get flack is because they portrayed themselves as anti-capitalists and Marxists. So they kind of did that to themselves.
Well, I mean, but does raising funds like make you a capitalist? I don't think so. I think you have to raise funds in order to serve the community and serve whatever mission that is happening. This is a trend, right? In a couple of years, in less than a year, whatever it may be, people are gonna move on to the next problem. Mm-hmm. And it's gonna stop hashtagging, it's gonna stop trending. So if we don't have dollars to actually continue this mission and all of these other missions that make our communities better and stronger, then what are we gonna do?
Well, I want everybody to watch Undercover Billionaire because as an entrepreneur myself, it gives you a lot of amazing tips. I know a lot of times you're really scared to jump out there and start something. And this is a great way for you to see firsthand how it can be done.
Absolutely.
And to never give up, right? For me, the why was we just can't give up. And most importantly, we have to get back to who we are as a culture, the compassion, the community, the connection, and the accountability for more than just our household.
That's
Absolutely.
right.
Well, we appreciate you for checking in and good luck.
Thank you.
I want to talk more about the show, but I don't want to give it away, so I'm definitely going to watch it because I am very intrigued about how they dropped you off with $100, and I want to know if you made that $1 million. So
in Tacoma.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued about that. So.
Would you go back to Tacoma? Do you like it there?
I go back every month. So the business is a real business.
Don't tell her. Don't say it. Don't say it.
Yeah, I'm not going to say what it is. It's a real business, though, but I go back every month.
To get her check, All right.
She fell in love with Tacoma. No,
right.
I did. I really fell in love with Tacoma. And more importantly, as the founder and general partner of Rain Ventures, I also see opportunity from a technology perspective to fund more Black and Brown founders. So it's a very rare thing that two Black women will own on the general partner side a $50 million tech fund.
All right. Well, Monique Mosley, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.